Hi guys, it's Kayla and welcome back to Love Tangle. Last time was pretty good and we got a teaser that Timo is going to be drunk this chapter, so I'm super excited to see how that plays out. And without further ado, let's get started with Timo's main story, chapter 7. I need to talk to you. Paul stops me on the way out after we've given our progress report on the Kaleda Leopard's rehabilitation. About what?
What we talked about the other day. I want an answer about our engagement.
That's right, I forgot we had put that conversation off until later, even though we'd been in almost constant contact during the leopard's surgery and rehabilitation. I glance at Timo beside me. He has his back turned towards us and appears to be waiting for me. Work being what it is, Paul probably didn't want to bring it up until the leopard's condition settled down. This is probably the chance he's been waiting for. I can't help but feel bewildered as my childhood friend stares at me, waiting for me to respond. Then the thought hits me. How does Timo feel about hearing all of this? I steal a quick glance at him, but his expression remains blank and unfathomable. Paul, we've been best friends since we were kids, and I really like you, but engagement is a huge step. What I can't bring myself to say is it's impossible for me to imagine us being engaged.
So it's a huge step, but you're still willing to consider it?
There's that unbelievably positive attitude of his again. Paul calmly continues to smile, but he sounds determined.
All right, you have one more week, and I definitely want your answer. If it's really that difficult for you to decide, then I see no reason why you shouldn't just say yes. I promise I won't let you down if you do.
The confidence in his voice as he leans towards me certainly lends strength to his argument. Paul?
You'll have to excuse me. The director's waiting.
Paul quickly exits the examination room, leaving me and Timo all alone. All I can do is frequently stand there staring at him as he walks away. Suddenly, a hand takes hold of mine, returning me to my senses. Timo?
Let's go.
He speaks forcefully and gives my hand a tug. Go, where? He doesn't reply. However, his grip on my hand tells me anywhere as long as it's away from here. Oh! Timo ends up leading me to the Institute's dolphin pool.
Let's watch the dolphins.
For some reason, his tone sounds blunter to me than usual. It's our second time watching them together, isn't it? I reply with a faint smile. Although I feel bad for Paul, it's actually a bit of a relief to be here with Timo right now. In fact, I'm grateful that he brought me here. It feels good to sit and watch the dolphins swimming through the clear water. I wonder what the dolphins are talking about right now. Our early morning visit to the pool the other day comes to mind, and I pause to remember the conversation that we had.
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's fascinating.
Timo appears to enjoy watching the dolphins swim around the pool.
Animals just act out and don't get hung up on their thoughts the way we humans do. Their state of mind remains pure and unencumbered. It makes observing them very comforting.
I see what you mean. Timo's comment hits home with me. It's definitely relaxing to watch the dolphins. But I think what I find most comforting right now is sitting here and talking with Timo. Speaking of which, do you remember what we talked about the last time we were here?
About wanting to save the animals as researchers and as animal lovers.
Once that Kaleda Leopard's rehabilitation succeeds, we'll be one step closer to that dream, won't we?
That's right.
Timo turns to look at me and smiles. This exceptional display of affection from him causes my heart to leap.
Michelle.
He quietly calls out my name while reaching for my cheek. Oh! I react without saying anything as his fingertips brush against my skin. Timo! The ticklish sensation of their touch sends a faint shiver through me. Why is he touching my cheek like this? I feel like I'm dreaming as I stare back at him. Oh, also, sorry to interrupt you guys, but I just noticed that there are some limited time stories for sale until April 2nd, so I'd be happy to buy one of them for you guys, preferably one of Timo's stories. Is there anything you're interested in? Aqua de Vida, Night Festival, Drunk on His Love? Let me know before April 2nd, and perhaps I'll get one. Anyways, back to where we were.
What answer will you give Morgan?
Timo has his hand on my cheek as he gazes into my eyes. I have to make a decision, don't I? And I suppose Timo's aware of that. I respond, I wish no, I'm going to tell him no as an answer. I guess I'll say I'll have to think about it. I faintly grimace. I'll have to think about it. Paul and I have been friends since childhood. I want my answer to be sincere, even if it's not what he wants to hear. Even as I explain, my answer to Paul is rapidly solidifying in my mind.
I see.
With nothing else to add, Timo reaches up and pats me on the head. Yes, I think that will be for the best. I like Paul a lot, but I'm not sure if we really share the same passions. I pause and smile up at Timo. Right now, I'm doing everything I can to follow my dreams.
Which are?
What you and I talked about earlier. Remember, we share the same goals.
Oh,
All I can think about right now are the animals. I want to save as many as I possibly can. Being engaged to Paul is the last thing I want on my mind.
I see.
Timo pauses before answering.
Speaking of animals, I'd like to discuss the leopard's rehabilitation. Let's head back to the lab.
Sure thing, Timo. I find myself grateful for Timo's casual change of subject, and suspect he did it out of consideration for me. Following work, Timo and I return home to Lilac Court together. Earlier, while going over the leopard's rehabilitation, we had arranged to meet in his room later to discuss a new article. Talking about work with Timo is so much more enjoyable than thinking about my answer to Paul. I'll bet Joy would be disgusted if she heard me say something like that. My feelings towards Paul's offer of marriage might be quite different if I had her level of enthusiasm for romance. However, there's no sense in worrying about that.
Michelle, were you planning on coming to my room immediately?
I start to nod back before spotting Naoki in the distance heading towards us.
Hey, Kayla, Timo.
Naoki calls out to get our attention.
Perfect timing. I brought back souvenirs from Kyo City and wanted to give you yours.
He holds out a simple yet elegant-looking bottle that exhibits attractive and mysterious qualities. Timo thinks it was the best choice. Is this porcelain?
Yes, inside it's sweet rice wine. Although fermented, it's still pretty sweet and has very little alcohol.
Sweet rice wine? I've heard of it before, but I've never had a chance to taste it. Thanks, Naoki. Oh, I bet this is what's gonna get Timo.
It's considered quite healthy, which, considering how busy you two are with work, might do you some good.
Naoki hands Timo and I each a bottle. Thank you. Naoki's work as a calligrapher is nothing like what Timo and I do, but it doesn't stop him from showing an interest, which I really appreciate. Say, Timo, why don't we try out this rice wine together while we read over that new article?
That sounds good. Don't work too hard.
The two of us smile back at Naoki, grateful for his sentiment. Timo, we should probably check this one too. Problems related to skeletal structure of the pantheric cats. Timo and I are pursuing research articles on our tablets. Each time we find one of interest, we stop and discuss it with one another. To me, the activity is incredibly enjoyable. I love satisfying my thirst for knowledge, and I never would have guessed spending time with someone who feels similarly could be so much fun. As we read, we are both slowly slipping into the wine Naoki gave us. Building up our knowledge like this should also help Timo and I establish a path to our goals. Timo? When Timo, who's sitting behind me, doesn't answer, I call out his name again. Instead of receiving a reply, I feel his hand on my shoulder. This sudden assertiveness on his part causes my heart to leap. It has to be Timo's hand, right? We're the only two in this room. Unwilling to turn around to look, I try calling out to him again. Timo, did you want something? My heart begins to race uncontrollably at the warmth of his touch. He's never put his hand on me this brazenly before. Blushing, I hesitantly turn to look. Sure enough, Timo is right behind me. He's going to give me a heart attack, whoa! Something warm and soft touches my lips. I immediately feel his delicate skin directly against mine. Timo's lips and my lips are pressing together. Is this really happening? My mind grinds to a halt. I even forget to blink for a moment as I stare in surprise. Oh, it's heating up, guys. All I can see is Timo's handsome face and his eyes are closed. We're kissing. His large hand suddenly drops over my eyes, forcing me to close them. The moment I do, however, his lips part from mine.
You're not gonna stop me.
I flinch when he whispers in my ear. I didn't stop him, did I? He surprised me with his kiss, and yet the thought never crossed my mind that I didn't want it. I unconsciously reach up and run my fingers over my lips. I can still feel his warmth.
Do you like me?
He quietly asks, and once again, I look up at him in surprise. His normally emotionless gaze uneasily dances about as he waits earnestly for my answer. Timo, He looks so cute in this one! Oh my gosh, I didn't expect to see G because I didn't have the dress-up thing. I pause mid-sentence with my lips parted, and Timo starts leaning towards me again. He takes hold of my head between his fingertips, gently tilts my head back, and then kisses me again. Once again, I can feel his warmth. How should I react? The sensation of Timo's kiss spreads through me, stirring up not shame or embarrassment, but passion in its wake. My fingers grow tense for a moment, hesitate, and then relax again. I can't push him away. No, I don't want to push him away. Instead, I close my eyes and lose myself in the sensation of his lips. There's no man who fascinates me more than Timo. Maybe it's not our professional conversations about research that I enjoy so much, but simply being in Timo's presence. This could be love blossoming within me, a sensation to which I am unaccustomed to. Timo's body shifts a little, and before I know it, we're pressed up against one another. Startled, my mouth falls open. Timo, wait! he's moving way too fast for me. I start to push him away by the shoulders, then notice something about his demeanor seems really strange. Is he asleep? Next thing I realize, I'm catching him in my arms. Oh, he's heavy. He's gone completely limp. I notice a red tinge in his normally pale cheeks. Come to think of it, I only drank a cup or two of that rice wine, but Timo's bottle's completely empty. I hope he doesn't play the "I was drunk, I don't remember" card. Although Naoki told us it didn't have much alcohol, it's possible Timo doesn't have much tolerance. Good grief. With a little effort, I managed to lay him down on the sofa. Getting him to his bed is out of the question. What was Timo thinking? I fetch a blanket from his bedroom to cover him with. Meow. The kitten, who has hidden himself away while Timo and I were reading, suddenly shows up at my feet. He rubs himself against me looking for attention, and I scoop him up and place him in my lap. Did you see that? Timo fell asleep on me. I bet you can still hear my heart racing, can't you? I place my hand over my heart as I grumble to the kitten. Can you believe what he did? Meow. The kitten sympathetically cries out, and I grimace back at him. My shoulders are cold. I slowly open my eyes as I begin to shiver. Don't tell me I fell asleep. The unfamiliar color of the bed sheets only adds to my bewilderment. On top of that, lying beside me is Timo. I nearly yell out his name in surprise. What am I doing sleeping beside him? Let's see, last night he ended up getting drunk and he kissed me, didn't he? Then he fell asleep. After that, I spent a while petting the kitten, and then I try as hard as I can to remember what happened at the end of the night, but to my dismay, the void remains empty.
Are you awake?
Uh-oh, did I wake him up? I nearly leap out of bed in surprise as Timo slowly sits up while holding his head. Timo,
You're gonna remind me that the wine Hoizumi gave us last night had alcohol in it, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, it did have a little.
I guess I drank too much. It seems my tolerance is even lower than I expected. I remember waking up in the middle of the night finding you asleep with the kitten. Although I was still pretty drunk at that time, I managed to carry you in here and lay you on the bed.
So we're supposed to be in his room now?
Other than that, I have no idea what happened. I don't even know how I ended up lying next to you.
Of course. Don't tell me you can't remember anything.
Uh-huh.
Well, what you said is starting to remind me. OMG, you guys. So something happened and I lost like the last 40-ish seconds of the last clip you guys saw. Basically all that happened was Henrik called, that mysterious guy that we always see in the leopard shelter, and he was with a famous professor from a famous organization that both Timo and us like, and we had just arrived to talk to them, and that's all that happened that you guys missed. It wasn't too bad. So sorry, that's never happened before. I don't know what happened to the footage, but it's completely gone, and as you know, you can't go back in this game. So yeah, but let's go ahead and pass this checkpoint. Cleared. So yeah, the professor's about to talk to us now.
And you must be Mr. Salminian, correct? Forgive me for showing up unexpectedly.
The professor offers Timo a friendly handshake, which Timo readily accepts.
I'm here in Kaleido for the Royal Academic Conference and caught wind of your injured Kaleido leopard's remarkable recovery. I hope you'll forgive me showing up uninvited, but I simply had to check it out. Not at all. In fact, I'm honored to have you take an interest. So, where is this injured leopard? I can't wait to see it. Can it walk yet? How about running? Unfortunately, although his rate of recovery is quite remarkable, we're still forcing him to rest. He can't be allowed to stray from the rehabilitation program we have established for him. Oh, is that right?
The professor does not look pleased. It seems he was expecting more after traveling all this distance.
If you'd like to join me in the lab, I'd be happy to show you our records of his surgery and the progress he's made. No, I don't have time, but thanks anyways.
He makes no attempt to hide his displeasure as he hurries off. In my mind, the records alone would have been fascinating. He must have really wanted to see the leopard. I start to feel a little disappointed as I watch him go. How can he show no interest in the records whatsoever?
That man doesn't like animals.
The young man who was quietly watching the whole time suddenly mutters. That can't be true. I ponder his remark for a moment. He's well known for his enthusiasm as an animal researcher.
But what is it he really likes, the animal or his research?
The young man responds in a frosty tone, then walks away. Timo, who had remained thoughtfully quiet during this exchange, finally speaks up.
You know, I also thought he was known for his enthusiasm, but still, if that were true, don't you think our records would be of more interest to him than the leopard itself?
Timo's suspicion leaves me feeling bewildered. The day ends up being a turning point for both Timo and myself. Following our disappointing meeting with the well-regarded professor, several days go by. Timo, perfect timing! I spot Timo in the hallway as he returns from work. The two of us haven't spoken much since the other night. Not only have I been busy with research, I haven't played with a kitten in a while. Do you mind if I come over and visit? I also had to work up the courage to approach him.
Sorry, not now, I'm tired.
Although I'm prepared for it, his curt reply still startles me. However, I tensely respond. If something's bothering you, I'm happy to talk. It's been impossible for me to grasp what Timo's thinking lately. Still, I smile back at him. If something's bothering you, I'm happy to talk. Our relationship made it as far as a kiss, and now we're growing distant again. Still, I can't bring myself to be angry with him. Timo thinks it was the best choice. Timo's been acting strange these last several days, ever since that kiss. I ponder his behavior as he walks away from me. It feels like he's becoming even curter with me. No, it feels like he's trying to avoid me. Is it because he regrets kissing me? I stop and shake my head as my thoughts start to grow negative. When he looks at me, his gaze isn't any less warm than it used to be. Still, it seems like something's bothering him. Am I imagining it? The events from yesterday suddenly come to my mind. It was the first time in a while we'd been alone together in the lab at night. Now that things have settled down, perhaps we can share a cup of coffee? I notice Timo is at his desk researching something. Timo, I'm gonna make some coffee. Would you like some? Timo does not look up.
No, I just had a cup.
He answers back, oh, all right.
Sorry.
What was that? He just let out a sigh, didn't he? At first, I thought it was a reaction to my offering him coffee, and I started to let it get me down, but it didn't take me long to realize that Timo wouldn't behave like that. In which case, what could he be sighing about? It seems like something's bothering him. If so, I'd like to find out. However, it's not in Timo's nature to tell me such things. If only I could convince him that I'm here to give him support. Frustrated, I gently trace my lips with my fingertip. It seems part of me still yearns for the warmth from his kiss. So that's the end of the chapter. Look forward to the next one. You're in love, aren't you? Wow, Kayla's in love. Being in love with Timo can't be easy.
Maybe, but the more obstacles there are, the hotter their love will burn, don't you think?
Mr. C, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be off flying around the world on business or something?
Announcing the next chapter is serious business, especially when the daughter of a good friend is in it.
By the way, Mr. C, what do you think?
About what, Timmy? I knew he was a great guy the moment I laid eyes on him. Still, he hasn't realized it yet, but the fact that he doesn't expect much from others is hindering his own growth.
Wow, I have to tell you, Mr. C, your ability to read people is like a gift from the gods.
You think so? Anyway, back to the next chapter. Kayla, you're gonna finally reveal to Timmy how you feel. It'll all work out for the best, though, so don't be alarmed by Timmy's initial reaction.
And there you have it, the gods has spoken.
Timmy may be a bit awkward, but he's worth it.
Okay guys, that is it for this episode of Love Tangle. It was a fiery one, don't you think? I hope you guys are ready for the next chapter, and then I think there's only like one more after that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye!